Hey, this is Sri Hari from Mr. Phone, and this year I think you'll agree that has been great for smartphones and especially budget smartphones. And in India, it's a very difficult decision to buy a smartphone just because of the sheer number of phones that you have. So today we decided to help you with that a little bit. Now, if you have 15,000 rupees in your hand and you want to buy the best smartphone possible, which one should you buy? Well, let me tell you that. Hey, this is Sri Hari from Mr. Phone, and this is our first episode in the best under. And today we are taking a look at the best smartphones under 15,000 rupees. If you haven't subscribed to our channel, subscribe so that you get notified for all the cool tech videos that we put out, and hit the bell icon right next to it because it's there. So we're gonna make this interesting and we're gonna count down from top 5. So the number 5 spot in the best smartphones under 15,000 goes to the Infinix Note 5. Now the Infinix Note 5 just makes the cut for me in this list purely because of how much of the whole package it is. This, believe it or not, was a very difficult spot to fill because there were just so many contenders, including the very popular Realme 2. Now the Realme 2 got a lot of slack, but it does have a cool new notch display and this dual camera setup and a fingerprint scanner. But I didn't think that this was a complete package as much as the Infinix Note 5. Now the Infinix Note 5 doesn't have the most powerful processor. It's a Helio P23 chipset, but the Helio P23 is not really a bad chip. And plus, considering the fact that you get Android One inside, which means you're getting stock Android inside the Infinix Note 5, I think this is going to be a very smooth experience. Apart from that, you get a big crisp display which a lot of people appreciate at this price range. It's a bright display, it's colorful, and it doesn't have a notch, but it's still a tall 18:9 aspect ratio display which will let you enjoy your content in the best way possible. And if you are someone who watches a lot of movies on their phones, then it has a crazy 4500 mAh battery which will last you for days. The standby time on this beast is crazy. I've had it in my bag for days without having to charge it. Even it has gone for a week without having to charge it once on standby. So that is great battery life on the Infinix Note 5. The cameras are not the best that you can find, but in this price range, when considering the whole package, I think the cameras, the front camera and the back camera, are both very good. And for those reasons, I think the Infinix Note 5 is a complete package and hence sits at the number 5 spot in the best smartphones under 15,000. So the 5th spot goes to the Infinix Note 5. So what is there in the 4th spot? Now coming to the 4th spot, the 4th spot in the best phones under 15,000 goes to the all new Redmi 6 Pro. Now the Redmi 6 Pro is a beautifully crafted phone. As you can see, the sturdy metal design that is here. It looks like a shrink down Redmi Note 5 Pro, but let me tell you why I picked the Redmi 6 Pro for the 4th spot. It obviously has, as I said, a very sturdy design. It has a gorgeous modern display, and Xiaomi somehow seems to have used a very high quality panel here, which at this price is unbelievable to see, and I'm really happy to see such a good quality panel at this price. Inside you get a Snapdragon 625, and sure, it's an older processor and obviously not as fast as some of the newer ones. But I think we have to remember here that it is one of the most reliable processor, which is why it was used in so many Xiaomi phones. It won't give you the best performance, but it'll give you a good balance of medium performance along with the great battery life, which is something at this price is very much valued. You get 3 gigs of RAM, which should hold up pretty well, and with the MIUI 10 coming up very soon, it should be a very fun and intuitive experience on the software side. Now there is a 4000 mAh battery inside, which is very big. It doesn't have fast charging, but considering the fact that there is a very power efficient Snapdragon 625 inside, I think you should not be worried about the battery life on this thing. So all in all, taking a look at the fact that there is such a gorgeous modern looking display at the front, the dual camera system at the back, the sturdy metal body, I think the Redmi 6 Pro well deserves the price and the 4th spot. So the cameras on the Redmi 6 Pro aren't really that great. We are obviously coming up with a very detailed camera comparison, which you'll find on our channel. So stay subscribed and hit the bell icon if you want to see that. But yes, a detailed camera comparison is coming. But until that, here are a few picture samples that you can see from the Redmi 6 Pro. And I think you can see in daylight you'll get good shots with it. It is not definitely a great smartphone camera, but taking a look at the overall package and the price that it's being offered, I think the Redmi 6 Pro well deserves the 4th spot on the best phones under 15,000. When it comes to buying a budget smartphones, one of the first compromises that you make is in in the looks. And who are we kidding? You can't buy a premium looking smartphone in a budget price, right? Well, not exactly, and that fact is proven by this little beauty here, which sits at the third spot in the best phones under 15,000. The Honor 9N is a stunning looking device, and it especially looks beautiful in this shiny blue color. It has a great display on the front, it's colorful, it's crisp, and it's one of the best displays that you can find under the 15,000 rupee price tag. It's also not as big as some of the other phones like the Asus Zenfone Max Pro M1 or the Redmi Note 5 Pro, which makes it a very premium experience at a price that isn't really that premium. Now, coming to what's under the hood, you get a Kirin 659, which again, like the Snapdragon 625 of Xiaomi, has been one of the most reliable, let's say, processors for Honor this year. Along with that, you get 4 gigs of RAM inside. It is definitely not meant for gaming, but if you look at the entire package and the premium looking device that you get, I think the Honor 9N is a great phone to buy and deserves the third spot in the best phones under 15,000 rupees. The cameras on this are also another big draw. The dual camera setup clicks social media worthy pictures and has some selfie focused features inside too. So they're not really the best cameras that you can find, but if you are someone who's not really going to peek into pictures and want something that you can share right to a social media platform like Instagram or Facebook, then the Honor 9N should serve you just right. Now, coming to the second spot, this was a very difficult one to fill because I was confused between two phones. So the number 2 spot goes to the Asus Zenfone Max Pro M1's 6GB RAM variant. Now this phone was at number 1 for me all throughout the drafting process because I love this phone a lot. That said, it won't be my number 1 recommendation to everybody, which is why it sits at the number 2 spot. Now, why do I love the Asus Zenfone Max Pro M1? It has a great crisp display which also has good brightness levels. The build on this thing is great. It won't catch your eye, but it is sturdy. Now, the other thing is that it comes with clean vanilla Android. What that means is 2 things. While it might look boring to a lot of people because there's no skin or any colorful icons that you can see, but that exactly becomes an advantage for geeks and people like me because we get to draw most power from it because of how clean the software is. If I had rupees 15,000 and had to buy a phone right this moment, then I would go for this one. Although that doesn't mean that I can recommend it to everyone. The cameras, well, I wasn't a fan of the cameras on the 3 and 4GB RAM models, and they've also apparently become better. I still have to test it, but the 6GB RAM model is so much better. I did a detailed camera comparison between this and the Redmi Note 5 Pro, and man, it was tight. I have linked that video up here in a card and in the description below. Please go ahead and watch that after you watch this video, but you'll get to know how good the cameras on the Zenfone Max Pro M1 are. Now, while the cameras and the output is really great, the camera app still lacks a bit and is one of the only things stopping it from the number 1 spot. And with that, we come to the number 1 spot in our best smartphones to buy under 15,000 rupees. Now, a quick little recap. The Infinix Note 5 sits at the number 5 spot. I did not plan that to happen. The Redmi 6 Pro sits at the 4th spot. The gorgeous looking Honor 9N is at the 3rd spot. The Asus Zenfone Max Pro M1 6GB RAM variant sits at the 2nd spot, and the number 1 spot goes to the Redmi Note 5 Pro. Now, the Redmi Note 5 Pro was, shall I say, the phone that for me shot Redmi or Xiaomi to fame. I mean, it was and still in its price range remains unbeatable when it comes to almost all areas of a smartphone. I mean, the only phones even at higher prices that do give it a tight competition is other Xiaomi phones like the Mi A2 or the Poco F1. Coming to performance, you get a very powerful Snapdragon 636, which under 15,000 is a great processor. Playing games on it is good. You'll still only get medium graphics on things like PUBG, but it is a very powerful processor. The version that we have picked for the under 15,000 is a 4GB RAM model, and if you want the 6GB version, then you'll have to shell out a bit more. Now, all these crazy RAM choices have polluted our minds, but let me tell you that 4GB RAM is still a very good number for a smartphone, and you don't really need 6 or 8 gigs of RAM to have a smooth smartphone experience. Now, the Redmi Note 5 Pro 6GB RAM variant functions exactly like this one. Yes, it might be able to keep a lot more games in memory simultaneously, but who does that? If you're someone who plays PUBG for a few minutes, opens up Asphalt without killing PUBG, and then feels like Alto's EDC, well, I hate to break it to you, but you need medical help, and so does your PUBG avatar because you are probably dead. Now, coming to the cameras, the Redmi Note 5 Pro before the Mi A2 and the Poco F1 came was the best camera below 26,000. It still gives tough competition to the above mentioned phones, and under 15,000 there is just no question. Now moving forward, you obviously get MIUI, and yeah, MIUI 10 is coming up. So with that you'll get a fun and intuitive software experience. That added with the great battery life that you get inside makes the Redmi Note 5 Pro the best smartphone to buy under rupees 15,000. Now a few special mentions here. The Realme 1, I want to put this phone in the third spot, but it is not available as of now, and it's very difficult to get a Realme 1. Now this is again not a great overall phone to buy because the display is not bright enough. The software isn't really the most desirable that you can get, but you get 6 GB RAM and 128 GB storage inside, along with a very powerful Helio P60 chipset at just rupees 13,000 rupees. So the Realme 1 was a great choice. Sadly, it is not available anymore. Now before concluding this video, I obviously told you what my top 5 choices were for the best smartphones to buy under 15,000. But if you have the patience to wait a little while more, then there are 2 great phones that are coming up. So the number 1 phone is the Nokia 5.1 Plus. It's coming with a Helio P60 chipset, Android One. It's a Nokia phone, so it's going to look beautiful. So if you do have the patience, it seems like it'll be a great phone, so you can wait for that. And the Realme 2 Pro is also coming very soon. It'll be the real successor to the Realme 1 with a great processor, and will come with a few more upgrades to the Realme 1. So these are 2 phones that are coming up. So if you have the patience to wait, then you should probably. So with that, we come to an end of the best phones under 15,000 from Mr. Phone for Q3 2018. This is September. Let us know which one is your favorite phone in this lot. Let us know in the comment section below. All the videos that I talked about are linked in the description below, so go ahead and watch that. Reviews for all these phones, excluding the Redmi 6 Pro, which is also coming very soon, has been linked in the description below, so go ahead and watch those reviews if you want to get a detailed look at how these phones perform. So that's it for this one. Thank you so much for watching. This is Srihari from Mr. Phone, and I'll catch you in the next one.